Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuffin' Things here, and today I want to go over preparations that I have done for a beginner Stampin' Up party. My mom is the host, and according to her, the people invited have never done stamps before. I don't think any of them. Some are crafty, some are artistic, but this is their first time even seeing how to make a stamp. So based on the fact that she does say many of them are artsy, I decided to work on a way to get into stamping to give you the biggest bang for the buck for kind of the least amount of money possible. And I looked around on Pinterest as well as asked around. I happened to be at a craft retreat last weekend, which was perfect. A perfect venue for me to do my brainstorming. This is the set that I came up with to present to the group. It does have some sentiments, but none of them are the traditional sentiments. You don't get a happy birthday, a Merry Christmas, sympathy, any of the traditional things. So I have a workaround for that, and I will show you how I did the workaround. I will also show you right now the sketches that I did. So I brought out the stamps. Another thing to consider with these is that people don't have any ink pads, and ink is one of the larger expenses for getting started. You've got your paper, you have the inks. The stamp set itself, I would say, it really is probably the least expensive item to buy. So I went around on Pinterest and then did some of my own brainstorming. It looks like my first try was this Christmas tree idea. Let's see if I go back even one more page. No. So this was me. And the very first idea, I already know how to do with waterfront. There are two basic designs that it does inherently in it, and that is a tropical scene and a mountain scene and trees. So this sketch pad is me coming up with the non-standard designs. So I have a pretty rough Christmas tree here that I needed to do some work on trying to get the layout. It actually is one stamp, two stamps, three stamps, and there's little white gaps. 2, 1, and then to get the height, I did a stamp vertically with one of the long skinny ones. And then, of course, the very big top here, the yellow, is the palm tree. I'm a doodler, and this is my handwriting, so I will be presenting to them. When you first get started, forget buying sentiments. That can come later. Handwriting your words on the cardstock, everybody will love. It will personalize this card that you have made, and they'll know it came from you. Especially if you write the sentiment on the outside and then the same handwriting you write the words specifically to them with your handwriting again and sign it. It's Halloween. We did a lot of Halloween stuff, so I discovered this really cute spider that you can make out of the palm tree. Love it. Of course, there's the snowman. Gotta love him. I then have some rough sketches. I was pretty successful with this larger panel. I had a little problem with the cactus here. And then this is just using trees with no mountain, as you see up above, and no sun. This is also a monochromatic design. I picked 5 colors that I felt. So there's 2 different pricing options for inks. You can get the Many Marvelous markers in a 10-pack, plus either black or gray, whichever you prefer. So that's 11 for around $33. Or you can buy 5 spots for $9, plus the re-inkers for $3.75 a piece. And pick any of the 5 colors that you want. I demoed, when I do the real cards, I show you them. Those are in 5 distinct colors. That would be an option for them for a customer to buy for, again, around $30. I really enjoyed this. I have seen this design around out and about, and I think that it's a really good one, and I have some good examples of it finished. I had to throw in a tropical design. This is a monochromatic. I had better luck with a second try at the cactus. And I did another Season's Greetings because the colors that I picked didn't include an orange in my sample I did earlier on. Was with a color set that comes with orange. I believe it was the Brights. So I did a few extra samples using 5 colors versus the 10 mini Marvelous markers. So they got the snowman, and then here's our tropical design. So those are all my rough ideas. Oh, I have one more. This is a really basic monochromatic. I will talk about the Season's Greetings being in black, not red, and then of course the green trees in Old Olive. So I'm going to I have a whole bunch of these pads. I actually practice my lettering on these pads, and I have a bunch of them. So I will be bringing them. I'm going to let everybody practice these designs. I will bring printouts. Everybody will get a set of printouts of all of these designs, as well as their pad that they can practice. It'll be monochromatic for them, and then at the end they will get to pick one and create an actual card out of their favorite design with my help. How we work it actually depends, because my mom has invited a lot of people. She actually invited 8 and their plus ones, and I don't even know if she has room in her house to have 16 people sitting and crafting at the same time. So we actually hope for, less than that. The most I would like, I think, would be around 8. All right, so that Christmas tree that I told you about is my example of a very finished, simple card, but I added colored pearls for them to see when you add some embellishments. The focus will not be on the embellishments, but for the price, you can just add a sheet of pearls and dress up your cards any way you want. So that is just with a quarter inch all the way around mat, and then me handwriting the Oh Christmas Tree. This is it's using gray, the basic gray, and I only have the archive gray on a spot. So when I did the stamped off version, I think the basic archival gray has a little bit different properties than when they buy. If they do buy basic gray over the black, the properties for it will be slightly different, and I think it'll be a little less blotchy. I still like it either way. And then of course I put the yellow sun on, and I did a thinner mat for them, and then hand wrote, as well as used white gel pen and hand wrote happy birthday. This one I wanted to definitely use a couple of the stamps that come with the set to show them off, and this is using the 5 colors that I had picked for the spots solution. So that's Blackberry Bliss, Crushed Curry Real Red, and Old Olive, I believe. And then I showed them, when you're first starting out, it might be a challenge to get your mats just right. And I just show here that I could have centered this mat, but to make it easier for a beginner, having it off center not only adds interest to a simple card, it also helps you if you're challenged with trying to get things centered perfectly. Don't center it perfectly, and I think it looks great. This is one of my favorites. I really like this cactus. I think it's great, and it's like a human raising up its hands, so I used the friend sentiment, and it is just 3 colors. This is Garden Green. I'm going to go back to this card and say, it doesn't look like Garden Green to me. That still looks like Old Olive. So Garden Green, Crushed Curry, and Blackberry Bliss. And then I just added the speckled. Every one of these is from the Waterfront set. I went ahead to show that you can add in, this is an $11 DSP set called Wood Textures, and I just wanted them to see how easily you can dress up a card. My focus is not going to be on heat embossing or dry embossing or die cutting, because that requires ownership of a big shot, which is a big investment, and they might not ever get to the point in their crafting that they want to own a big shot. I crafted for 20 years making cards, and I never owned anything fancy, so it wasn't till the last 5 years that I ended up owning one. And ironically, I bought it for jewelry making and forming metal I did not actually buy it for paper. So I love this. I think it came out great. Here's the monochromatic that, well, it could be monochromatic, but I did add the basic gray stamped off snowflakes. And then I wrote Season's Greetings. I demonstrated here that you can get to more advanced matting. These mats here are all 8-inch all the way around mats that are pretty easy as a newbie starting out. You can do these larger mats much easier. So I did this one here that shows the much thinner matting, as well as in this case I took the crushed curry and I dabbed a little bit of real red over the top and then stamped it to get the orange carrot for his nose, and that worked out just fine. So I'm just demonstrating that you can stretch your colors if you think outside the box. Here's a monochromatic design showing again you could have done the 1/4 inch all the way around Blackberry Bliss border, but I tilted it just to make it fun and different. And so you can easily take a monochromatic card and make it fun and interesting very easily. Here is again, smaller size focal, offset on the card, fatter border, and just with 2 colors of ink with the Merry Christmas. This, of all things, this proved to be the most challenging one in these 2 colors. This basic gray in the archival that actually was retired last year was very difficult to work with, I found. Not in other designs. I don't know what it was by the time I got to this one. So this is like the 5th take on this. And I did keep my rejects so that I can show them that even some of those rejects that I did was just me being ultra picky, and I could very easily have put them on a card and people would not have even have known that there was a problem. This is an unfinished background that I didn't get to. I would say before this weekend I could throw a sentiment on here popped up with an edge border and it would look great. So I might finish that one. Here is a monochromatic one that I just didn't turn into a card. Just want to show them kind of what it looks like raw without anything else to help it along. And this is one of my rejects. Here's a reject. I found that the Blackberry Bliss is a color that is very strong, and you have to make sure that your stamps are clean, and I will show you what my stamps look like at this point. You'll see why it was difficult for me to keep track because I'm making all these designs. So my stamps are very discolored and I had to keep cleaning them, and I kept forgetting when it got down to this design. I kept forgetting to keep it clean. So I actually set this whole project aside for a while and came back to it with a fresh, clean set of stamps to finally make the good one that I did, because I just kept getting frustrated. I decided not to use navy in my samples, but this was a nice design that I came up with in the monochromatic in A Night of Navy. Here's where I had, I've got a little Blackberry Bliss on that mountain. I inked up the snow. Snow is not green. So this is just, here's what the rejects look like. And then here's some the backs of rejects that, even I've made cards for years now, and I make really fancy, intricate cards, and you can still make mistakes. This is a, not quite finished monochromatic card showing that the gel ink on the dye ink actually discolors a little bit. So I'm just going to show them that. If they choose to use a white gel pen to do any doodling, that's what it'll do. And I think I put about 3 layers of gel pen on here and it's still discolored. So that is what I'm going to demonstrate for them, and they will make a paper pumpkin project, because I think paper pumpkin at $20 a month is a great way to start out and start collecting your basics. And then after you have about 6 months worth of paper pumpkins with their supplies, I think you can then purchase a stamp set or 2 and some. You will have collected your spots, because you get spots every month. You get stamp sets from Paper Pumpkin every month, and you get 1 acrylic block I will have a price sheet that includes the block that works on every one of these is block D. And then you can buy, if you want, a small block, though block D. And then I compared block D. I have 2 Paper Pumpkin acrylic blocks because I bought a whole bunch of them and I have been using them as giveaways, and I kept 2 for myself. And they happen to be the same size as the D-sized thicker block that Stampin' Up! Sells. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to share my love of crafting with some new people and see how interested they are in it. And hopefully you found this interesting, a little diversion from the norm from me. And thanks for watching.